Greetings everyone and welcome to a review of the Predator Collection Hunter Series 7-inch fully posable figure of the Predator Berserker. So yeah, 25 points of articulation, we'll definitely test that out, and yeah, let's just check out the figure. And here we have the Predator Berserker. This is a figure I've been really looking forward to reviewing. It honestly looks amazing just aesthetically, and I'm a huge fan of the Predator series of films. I've honestly been on the lookout for a cheaper scale action figure, just because the 6-inch scale action figures for Predator generally are somewhere in the 40 to 50, even more in some cases for certain lines, pound range, and I'm not willing to spend that much on a single figure, especially when some of those are not actually that much more detailed than this. So, of course, the Berserker is specifically from Predators, the third installment, and it's not exactly a Predator that I have that strong a connection to. I'm not a huge fan of that film. I'm more a fan of Predator and Predator 2, but in any case, it's a Predator to add to the collection, and I'm very excited. So, going over articulation, I think, yeah, this is going to be a bit difficult just because of the height, but he does have, you know, rotation at the head. He does seem to have some sort of ball joint at the head, which is the way to move it up, so that's alright overall. It gives you a decent amount of movement. Unfortunately, the gun does get in the way, which I will go over a little bit later on, but, you know, pretty decent down, pretty good up. It's fine overall. I'm perfectly fine with that. When it comes to the arms, that's out. Full 90 degrees, not terrible. Better than a lot of figures, actually. Forward, back. You technically could rotate all the way around, except for the pauldron. I think on the other arm. Yeah, the same case. The pauldron, the armor coverage, is just a little bit too long, too wide, whatever you want to call it, to actually allow for full movement of the arm, which is fine overall. You have a elbow joint, which, honestly, no matter where you put it, it's not reaching 90. It's about... oh, it's so close to 90, I'd almost give it, but it's not quite there. No double joint, it's just a standard peg with just... it's just a normal elbow joint. I don't know how else to explain it. The wrist, it's just a rotation, it's just a pin, which is fine overall. Nice enough hands, pretty good for holding weapons. Doesn't come with anything to hold, unfortunately. But if you have something like this, it'll just fit pretty well. Anything from 6 or 7 inch scale, which I guess he can't hold that well, but you know what I mean. If you have something from 6 or 7 inch, most likely he's going to be able to hold it in some way, even if it's just, I guess, bringing back this weapon, just holding it by the stock or the barrel or whatever else, just as a throwing mechanism. It does work. On the arm, very nice detail of having the sword, the blade, whatever you want to call it. It's not the typical one you expect for Predators because it is only a single blade rather than dual blades, but it's still overall pretty good, attention to detail. The other arm just has a plain, and the hands do appear to be mirrored. There might be a slight difference, but they are pretty much the same. At the waist, you have a... I guess it would be a ball joint, but I'm not really that sure. It's hard to tell, really, but in any case, full hula hooping action. That looks so weird. But yeah, it's pretty good articulation. Good crunch forward. Pretty good crunch back as well, to be completely honest. And generally, I'm actually quite surprised how good that actually is. I think I have kind of pushed down... or have I? Oh, that's the belt detailing. I thought that was the seam line for the, for like the waist, but apparently not. Speaking of the waist, legs. I hate doing this, I always pull out the other leg. About 45. Not great, but, I mean, you can get him into some pretty good posing, regardless, so I don't think it really matters. If you actually push up the skirt piece, or whatever you want to call it, I think you could probably get a little bit extra. You can get a little bit more, but you are kind of ruining the overall look there. It is also very tight. At the knee, it is a single joint, so about 90. I feel like it should be able to go further. The actual sculpting should allow for more, just the actual, articulation just doesn't allow for it. And then finally, at the ankle, you do have rotation and a slight amount of forward and back. It's hard to tell whether it's a ball joint or it could potentially be a dumbbell joint based off, I don't know if I'll be able to show it on camera. There seems to be some sort of pin there, but there's definitely a ball at least at the bottom. I can't quite tell with the top. So it's either a dumbbell joint or just a pin and ball. It's hard to tell, as I say, but it allows for some pretty good posing overall. And, generally, he's not too heavy. You can get him into some pretty dumb-looking poses if you just kind of get his centre of balance right, which I said it was easy, and then I'm struggling a little bit. There we go. So yeah, you can get him in some pretty unorthodox kind of posing, with his legs especially, as long as you're able to balance the upper body, which is, unfortunately, the most mass, is the thickest chunk of plastic of the figure. And just as one more thing of articulation before I forget, the gun does move around on a ball joint, which, yeah, it's short, it's not great, but it's alright. And that brings us on to accessories, where we get a larger gun. Now, this, as far as I can tell, isn't based off anything from the film. It could be, and I'm just missing something, but it has a little bit that goes over the shoulder. It's a larger weapon, looks almost as if it would fire something, though unfortunately it doesn't. And that just has a peg hole, which you can just snap right on to the Predator. There we go. And it gives another option. Once again, a little bit of movement there, nothing too special. But if you're into having a bigger weapon, a bit more of a cartoony look, that's definitely an option. Though, I think personally, I'm going to be sticking with the more screen accurate, smaller blaster. I cannot seem to get these on. When I was messing with it earlier just to try and figure out the articulation points, there we go. It seemed to go on a lot easier, but in any case, there we go. That's it. For comparison's sake, I've got a McFarlane Toys AIM Fortnite figure, as well as a Deadshot from one of the various DC lines. I think it's older, but both of these are technically 7-inch, and Predator actually fits right in this scale. Also kind of ironic, Fortnite figure, character that appears in Fortnite, but that's beside the point. It's a very interesting scale, and I do think he'll fit a lot better in a 6-inch display compared to a 7-inch display, just because I feel like Predators should be a little bit taller personally, but in any case, still a real good scale. And for a 6-inch scale comparison, unfortunately I don't have a Black Series figure with me right now, but I have a Siege Wolf Cybertron Soundwave, which, yeah, about works out, and then a Black Series solo movie, Han Solo. I don't know why I have this, I don't really like the figure, but in any case, I'd say that actually works out in scale. I actually kind of like that. I wonder who would shoot first in this situation. But in any case, yeah, I definitely can see him fitting pretty well into a 6-inch display, honestly. Or 7-inch if you're someone who doesn't mind Predators being a little bit short. But in any case, that is going to be my review for the Predator Collection Berserker 6-inch action figure. And, yeah. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Stay, come on. I believe in you. Stay.